Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.
Teddy covers Lawrence Presman. Welcome, everybody. It's WagerTalk Today. It's Tuesday, and we got a jam-packed show. Tony Finn making his first appearance. He's going to talk Akron, Kent State, Tennessee, Baltimore, and Dallas versus Minnesota. And, of course, Dave Sharapan on. We got a lot of questions for Dave about where the money was, where it's going, and some free picks. And Ralph Michaels, angle of the day, situation of the day, and a friend of the play. And a lot of it's to do with Mac tonight. So stay with us all the way through. Teddy, lead story. Well, firstly, you won yesterday, Minnesota. Nice. Nail biter on that fourth down pass. Just an inch away from a touchdown. I was on the under. Had a little bit of a freak out last night on the kick return. But honestly, what a game. And a statement made by Minnesota and one made by Chicago as well. Chicago's statement was, we suck, can't score. And Nick Foles looks like he's injured for a while. Minnesota, man, they got 3 easy games coming up, Teddy. This team could be 7-5 before you know it. What's your take?
I mean, that was part of my take last night. One part of the reason why I liked the Vikings last night was they had a legitimate road to the postseason. When you see a team that starts 1-5 and they win a couple games, all right, now they're 3-5. You say, all right, do they have any hope? Does this team believe in themselves? And everything I read out of Minnesota said, yeah, we believe. And given the schedule up in front of them, I'm like, this team's primed to make a run. There are worse bets to make than futures on Minnesota. There are worse bets to make than laying what I thought was a reasonable price with the Vikings on the road at Soldier Field. And of course, when you talk about supreme motivational situations, and I really thought it was one of those for last night for Kirk Cousins. And not that Cousins played a perfect game. He didn't. But when you're 0-9 on Monday Night Football, and you haven't been awful. It's not like Cousins is a bottom tier QB. Yeah. He's a mediocre quarterback. He's middle of the pack in the NFL. And when you've never won a Monday night game, I thought the motivation was there for Minnie. And they faced an opponent in Chicago who, again, we talk about the quarterbacks, talk about the skills and talent. The Bears' offensive line is an injury-riddled in shambles right now. And then the markets bet, Minnesota last night, in part as a result of that. And it was a sweat. It was a sweat the whole way. But we got there. We'll take it. I ain't giving the money back, at least not today, because I'm not in action today.
Yeah, and Teddy, look, they have no running game either. I mean, obviously that's a lot to do with the offensive line, but they really don't have a stud running back. They don't even have a stud wide receiver, and I don't like their play calling or coach. Chicago, to me, what do you want to say? I saw the head shake.
Yeah, well, the whole deal is that, I mean, they changed play callers last night. They went from Nagy to Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator, last night. And there were a lot of people that I was talking to around town who were saying, the coordinator changed. That's all they need is someone different. And it's like, no, the problem is not the coordinators. The problem is the talent level on offense, in particular that offensive front. Doesn't matter who plays QB. Doesn't matter who you have at receiver. Doesn't matter who you have at running back. If you can't control the line of scrimmage, you're not going to move the football. And that was the case for Chicago last night. It was the case for Chicago last week. And it's likely to be the case for the Bears moving forward. That's not a problem they're going to fix overnight.
I want to welcome everybody into the chat room. 184 of you guys right now. We're going to get over 400 at some point. Make sure to hit that like button, guys. It's super important to both Teddy and I, and obviously Wager Talk. I'm wearing my Wager Talk shirt. It helps us with our YouTube rankings. Also, it's $2 Tuesdays. This is our big day, guys. You definitely want to take advantage of it. Las Vegas, Chris, the handicapper, our featured handicapper at WagerTalk.com. This guy is on such a roll. It is absolutely absurd. plus 150% return on investment in his last 290 NFL plays, simply rolling in every manner. And Hunter Engelhardt, our $2 Tuesday over at Sports Memo. He's on a 9-2 NFL totals run. And also rolling. Teddy, speaking of rolling, in my opinion, and I'm a humble guy, my opinion is not always correct. The single best NFL handicapper on the planet is joining us today, and I will tell you why, but let's welcome him in. Tony Finn. How are you, Tony?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a good day. I'm celebrating. I had breakfast of champions this morning to celebrate Teddy's and the President's win on Monday Night Football. Little chocolate chip ice cream.
Shut the hell up, Tony. You had a 5% play on Minnesota, and you won it as well. Stop being humble. Guys, before we get into the games, I want to say this. Yesterday in the chat, a bunch of you guys were talking about buying handicappers. When do you buy them? And one of the guys mentioned, don't buy a guy who's 20-2. Buy a guy who you know is really good, all consistently really good, but might have had a bad or a mediocre start. Tony Finn last year hit 67% in NFL. Lifetime at WagerTalk. 6 years at WagerTalk. Was that 6? Yes, 6. 6 years at WagerTalk. Tony Finn is 61% in NFL. Those are absolutely unheard of numbers. He started the year off up and down, around 50%. But the run has begun.
Yes.
And now is the time to jump on the Tony Finn bandwagon. Make sure to check him out at WagerTalk.com. His NFL is gold. And Tony, you're rolling in college football as well. With all that said, we're going to get started right now. And we're talking college football. A game tonight, Kent State minus 25 against Akron. The total is 59. How should we bet this game, Tony?
Well, you're going to bet this game. You're going to fade Akron, or you're not going to be on this game. It's after essentially a season opening no-show by Akron. They lost to I think they lost by 45 points. I think Western Michigan, 58-13 was the final score. They were competitive last week against a good Ohio team. They still dropped their second straight, and now they're on a 19-game losing streak. This is a team, young players. 75 to 80% of the players are either freshmen, sophomores, or transfers. And they have a freshman quarterback in Zach Gibson. Listen, it's promising what he's done, 18-30 in both of the first two games. But this is a different team. This Kent State is up-tempo, and they play this flash fast scheme. It's attacking, and it's gambling. They're going to present some opportunities to Akron to cause some chaos in the backfield. But I fully expect Kent State to put this game away fairly early. The problem is that this Akron team cannot score. The last 9 games, they haven't scored more than 17 points. It doesn't change tonight. The fact that they returned most of their starters, both offensive and defensive last year, doesn't change the talent on this team, and it's not very good.
So I watched the Zips last week against Ohio, and I was stunned by what I was watching. I was absolutely stunned because with an offensive line, they have 4 redshirt freshmen starting on the offensive line along with 1 senior. And they were able to run the football consistently. They were able to control the line of scrimmage. Same story on the defensive side. Yep. It's not like we're talking about the most experienced defensive front in NCAA. What do they have? 70 freshmen, redshirt freshmen, or first-year transfers. Right. I mean, the whole program has been rebuilt. But at the line of scrimmage, my eyes told me this team's better than their power rating. And yet the money's pouring in on the other side. Now, the 25 last night, I'm seeing Kent State 27 right now. Do you believe what happened last week, Tony, or do you think that was something of a mirage and Ohio wasn't that into it and Kent State's going to be focused here? Or do you think that maybe this Akron team is getting better at the line of scrimmage and has some hope down the stretch?
I have hope for them. I kind of a fan of Akron. I'm not a Mac follower per se, but I like Bowden. And when he was there, I kind of cuddled up to Akron, watched quite a bit. What you saw was what I saw. But what I also saw was the line of scrimmage. But they are limiting The opposition getting in the backfield and causing chaos for their freshman quarterback. Without question, Teddy, that's what you saw. You saw a running back that gained a Gallagher, I think it was 160, 170 yards. They did run the football. And they still, and like I said, they look much more competitive against Ohio. However, I don't believe that's going to be the case tonight. They're not going to be able to. They're not going to get in the backfield, I don't think. And most teams are able to get into Kansas State's backfield because of the gambling, because of the scheme they run. I don't see that from their defensive line, the Zips. And I really believe that as competitive as they were last week tonight, I think this game is Kansas State's covered by halftime, and then they extend that lead in the second half.
Tony Finn, everybody. Tony never mentioned the word you and cuddle again. I was literally taking a sip of my coffee at the time. Now I have backwash in it.
Yep.
And it also stopped moving, dude. You know, we only have a small amount of screen for your ugly mug.
I'm not that pretty anyway, so just listen.
And he never was. Guys, let's get into the NFL. Tennessee, Baltimore. This is a great game to take apart. I'll be going deep into this on the NFL presidential address with Ralph Michaels and Matt Joseph tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. But my take has always been the same, Tony. I've been telling Teddy week after week, day after day, Baltimore is overrated. Baltimore is not nearly as good as people think they are. And look, Tennessee has their problems. But here we go again, a -6 for the Ravens. And I think this is really just a reflection of last year and what people think and the fact that people really want to bet this Baltimore team. How do you see this game playing out?
I'm one of those. I believe in Baltimore. They have not done, Lamar has not done what he did last year in his MVP season. Granted, they have issues. Listen, I believe what we've seen the last couple 3 weeks is that every team, AFC, NFC, it's top heavy right now. It's hard for me to downgrade the Chiefs, despite the fact that they may have some issues on the offensive line. But every week we see some mirage or some figment of our imagination who we thought a team was. Baltimore's one of those teams. They're still a lot more capable. Tennessee, I'm fading Tennessee. I'm looking to fade Tennessee every week if the situation is right. I have an issue backing them defensively. They are not. They're bad. Their bottom line. This is a bad Tennessee team, and Tannehill has to be at his best. They have to be running the football for Tannehill to be good. Everything has to go well for Tennessee and to be productive and to win games. And we've seen that now that they've regressed a little bit from last year. I thought they would regress even more. They've played pretty well up the last 2 weeks. I still think this is Baltimore. The line's maybe a little heavier, a little juicier. I think that it's inflated a bit from where I think it should be, but I think for good reason. And that's just because Baltimore defensively is still elite compared to that of the Tennessee Titans.
Are you worried at all about the injuries that the Ravens have suffered on the defensive side of the football? Calais Campbell, Khalil Dorsey, Terrell Bonds, Jimmy Smith, L.J. Fort, Brandon Williams. These are not second-tier players for the Ravens. The first 4 guys are all out. The second 3 guys are all very questionable at best. It's a Ravens defense that, again, last year was elite on paper. When everyone healthy, it's elite. Right now, we saw New England have a whole lot of success without any flash, just running the ball down Baltimore's throat. Does that concern you here for a team laying close to a touchdown?
Injuries always concern me. Teddy, I think let's single this one injury out, and I think that if we saw anything and we were witnessed to something that's evident, I think, and I wasn't quite convinced of it, and that's that Campbell is pretty darn important to this defensive line of Baltimore, and if he's not there, that's the primary concern I would have. And the fact that Jackson is 0-6 in games where they've trailed 10 points or more. This is a front runner. This Baltimore team is a front runner. They'll punish you. They'll get a lead and they'll punish you. If they're not in front, some of their deficiencies show up, and especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Tony Finn, everybody, check him out at WagerTalk.com. 61% in the last 6 years of NFL. And speaking of which, Teddy and I spoke about Minnesota at the top of the show. This team's got a route to the playoffs. 3 easy games ahead of them. Starts Sunday against Dallas. They're coming off of a bye, Dallas, but really, does it matter? Mini -8. We've got a 7.5 on the board. One of the global sports books has a 9, but let's go with 8 for now. A total of 50, Tony, which seems fairly high. How are you gonna bet this one?
Well, I liked what you both, the accolades and the butt slaps that you offered Minnesota. I agree with you. This is a team, as Teddy said, has a path. They have a road. While it's not laced in gold and it's not a sure thing, Minnesota's capable defensively. This young secondary, when they opened, Minnesota opened this year, and you read that they had 2 rookies in the corners covering professional wide receivers, and that the average age of the secondary was 23. You knew, and they were going to face Aaron Rodgers in week 1. You knew it was. I knew it wasn't going to be pretty. I knew that it had a damn good chance of not being pretty, and it wasn't. I think this team has got better. Zimmer's never. If you ask Zimmer, he'll tell you, I've never had a bad defense, and this team's just not bad. They're young and they're inexperienced, and we're going to make them better as the season goes along, and I think they have. Most importantly is what Cook. There's a few players in this league, guys, and I think you would agree with this. Maybe a Thomas of the Saints for Drew Brees, but it doesn't matter whether they're carrying the ball. It doesn't matter whether they're contributing statistically or not. The fact that they're on the field makes everyone around them better, and that's what Cook does for this Minnesota offense and for Cousins. And while Dallas, they've talked the talk. They preseason, you've heard everybody and their brothers say that this is one of the most talented teams in the NFL, especially roster wise. But the bottom line is that even when Dak was a quarterback and they were scoring 1,000,000 points, they weren't good enough to win defensively. They have too many injuries, and I can't take Dallas in 20 points. I may not be on Minnesota laying 10, but I'm not taking Dallas in 20 points. That's how much I lack faith and belief in this Cowboys team.
Yeah, and that's one that I'm going to agree with you on, Tony. Certainly, when you think about quarterbacks who you want to fade anytime they're on the field, Joe Flacco stands out in that regard for the New York Football Jets, and Andy Dalton, who I haven't gone through. I really should go through and see what Dalton's ATS record is, his last 20 games as a starter. It's got to be, 4-16 at best. So there are QBs to fade. Dalton, well ahead of Kirk Cousins on that list.
I agree.
Awesome stuff, guys. Tony Finn joining us. Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank you, guys.
Great take. Guys, check Tony out, and also give us those likes. 360 of you watching. Only 67 likes. Up. I'm going to bug you all show. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, WagerTalk TV. And also, as Teddy continues to point out, tell a friend. Tony, thanks, dude. Anything quick to promote? You got any plays up for the customers?
No, but I from what I understand, the president does. He has a 5% ROI for this weekend. I'm still contemplating, still figuring, and still ciphering, doing my Jethro math, and I'll have something up soon. But thanks for asking.
Get out of here, brother. Quick break. Right back with Teddy's 6 Bs, Dave Sharapan, Ralph Michaels, and a whole lot more.
If you're one of the few that hasn't taken advantage of our November thank you special, what are you waiting for? Or perhaps you already signed up for your favorite handicappers and want to add another red hot service, then this deal is for you. Get all football plays for the rest of November through Monday, November 30th for only $119. That's right, get the rest of your favorite Cappers football plays in November for the price of a 7-day all-access package.
It is time for Bad Beats, Bad Bets, and Bad for the Books here on WagerTalk Today. And let's see, last night there was one game. And there was two-way action on the game, both side and total. It was not a huge decision for the house at all. There was wise guy money for Minnesota at -2.5 and even at -3. But really two-way action, especially for books that cater to recreational bettors. The total did get bet up on game day, 43.5 up to 44, then up to 44.5. That was wrong. But in terms of a big decision, wasn't a big decision side, wasn't a big decision total. So there's not much of a book report from last night. Back to you, Prez. That's all we had.
Well, Teddy, I had a book report. I started reading a new book, and you don't care, so we'll move on. Guys, I want to tell you all, watch The Queen's Gambit on Netflix. What a spectacular show, just unbelievable, and really rekindled. You know what, Teddy? Keep your damn nonsense to yourself, okay?
I haven't said
Seriously.
a word. Didn't say.
Yeah.
All
Nobody
I can do
wants...
while you talk, make facial expressions. And it's fun for me to make facial expressions.
Okay.
What percentage, seriously though, before we get Sharapan in here, what percentage of our viewing audience do you really think is going to like this Queen's Gambit about chess? Again, think about
100%.
our viewers.
100%.
100% of them.
100%.
Right.
That's
and how many of them do you think? Right. You think they'll all like it? Now, here's my other question.
100%.
You and I don't have jobs
anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I got one more question. You and I don't have jobs. This is what we do. We watch sports and talk about sports all day. Most people have jobs they have to go to work to. So they have jobs and then they have games they're going to bet on. Do you think that people would rather watch a game they're betting on or watch Queen or watch some show that you recommended?
Well, firstly, everybody should have two TVs. Are you going to let me answer? Everybody should have two TVs in their living room, one to watch a show or the news and one to watch sports. That's number one. Number two, unlike you, I actually live in the chat room and I speak to, Garrick, Mr. Leonard, Craig, Big Daddy, Wes, Jabril, Joseph, Trance, Michael, Mike. Should I continue? You don't even know any of these people. You don't watch what they're talking about. What I just wrote, he watched it. It's so good. Did you know that, Teddy? Huh?
I did not.
I know what's going on. I know the pulse of this show. You don't. I do. So when I say watch the Queen's Gambit. Anyway, everybody. Oh, his stealthiness wants to wish you a happy birthday, Teddy, and I did forget. So happy birthday, brother.
Yeah, cheers. Appreciate that.
Yeah. $2 Tuesdays, everybody. Make sure to check that out. Hunter Engelbert at Sports Memo. He's got a 5% total up in NFL. It's only $2. 9 and 2 NFL totals run. And dude, I got to tell you, man, Las Vegas, Chris. Woo! I mean, you know Chris. I know Chris. We got to get him on the show one time, too. He's got some incredible stories. He's been doing this for a long time. He's the $2 Tuesday over at WagerTalk. He is absolutely spectacular. So check that out. And tomorrow's show, Teddy, Kyle, the stud, Anthony. So I have a man crush on Kyle. I get a little flushed. I admit it. We're going to talk MMA. But right now, dude, we got Dave Sharapan. And you know what Dave Sharapan has? A man crush on me, Teddy.
You might be the only one.
Tell him, Dave. Tell him, Dave.
I thought we were keeping that between us, Prez. I mean, you got to let everybody know what TV shows to watch. And now you got to tell everybody about the man crush on you. I mean, I thought it was just our thing. Well, I guess we'll bring it to the people. Yeah, it's true. I mean, where else do you get to go on and watch a guy like Prez blabble on about nonsense and try to interrupt Teddy when he talks all the time? And then he does this with his arms. All the guy does is work out every day. He's wearing short sleeves in Toronto in November. Sun's out, guns out. That's what he does every week. Okay. So, it is what it is. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to you think, Prez, about the alternate jerseys that the NHL released yesterday?
Yeah,
Did you see
don't
those
care.
things?
Dave, I don't
Yeah.
care. I want to talk sports, but before we get into that, I'm going to say one thing, and then I'm handing this to Teddy. There is an age limit to wearing your hat backwards. You
I'm
are
not
at
there yet.
least, you're 10 years over that age limit. 10
That's
years
why I'm going to
minimum.
keep doing it, because I got guys in some chat room telling me I can't wear my hat backwards, but they're watching me on your show. And if they don't like it, I'm going to keep wearing it backwards every single week. Like you keep flexing. No one wants to see you flex, but you do it every week.
No one. Yes, correct.
Exactly. That's why the hat's staying backwards.
Teddy.
Let's talk.
So let's get into it.
Yeah, get a grip.
Let's get into it because, Dave, we're talking about stuff that we said off air. All right. No, we got to get the 3-shot for this because I want to see Prez's face when I talk about everything he told me off air about this segment. So, in talking about off air, Prez was very concerned about this segment because he doesn't think we have enough actionable information. He's like, we got to get to sports. We got to get to actionable. People need to know. Yeah, sure. So let's give them actionable stuff. But first, before we go actionable, we have to talk about what just happened this past weekend. Now, I was under the impression that it was an okay week, certainly an okay Sunday for the house. And then I was looking at some reports saying going into Sunday Night Football, the house had more liability. Had the Ravens won and covered that game, it would have been the worst Sunday of the season. What's your take? This past NFL Sunday, I thought it was okay, but the books really were up against it a little bit going into Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, it all depends who you talk to anymore. It's not a universal thing across the board where every place needs the same thing. Only because you've seen the proliferation of these big bets where, someone's walking into the MGM and betting 6 games for 100 dimes a piece. Or someone's coming into, William Hill and getting $300K on a football game. It's like nothing anymore. So the results were varied, which is surprising because the favorites all won. I think the favorites were 11-2 this week.
Yeah.
Money line, straight up.
Yeah.
So when that happens, most of the time the book is running, not bad, but you need a game here and there. So you could see how that Ravens game came into play for some of the places. I talked to some guys this turned into the biggest game of the season. It was just rolled into Ravens. Everything rolled into Ravens, parlays and teasers, especially money lines. And you saw what happened. The book got there. In most cases, the Patriots result was a good. That one was one that was a good result across the board for all the books. Here, Jersey, and everywhere in between. So the NFL, the totals I saw came, there were some high totals and there were some more unders. So again, we got a mixed bag with that, but I think the totals were much more advantageous to the books than the sides were, because the teams won that were supposed to win. There were really no big surprises other than the way the games ended point spread wise. I mean, if Chubb goes in the end zone there, we talk about the prop every week. The Kleenex box would be out for the books if Chubb doesn't Chubb the bettors. If he Chubbs the books by going in the end zone there, that was a big swing. I mean, that was a gigantic that was a $7-figure swing for the books on Sunday.
Sure, and that's just here in Vegas, let alone what we're talking about in the global marketplace, in the New Jersey marketplace. What do we have? We have 25 states that have now passed sports betting legislation or legalized sports betting. That means half the country is almost there, although we haven't accepted bets in all those states yet, but the process is in place. Let's look ahead. We're looking for actionable information for the viewers. And when you talk about early week moves, Dave, you want to talk NFL or college first? I'll leave it up to you. But where has the sharp money come that people can say, oh, this is something I want to tail, or oh, that's something I want to fade when it comes to early week betting action?
if you look at the college football real quick, I know, there's MACtion now Tuesday and Wednesday. It's favorites on, today. The only bets that anyone's taken or seen is on the favorites, both, on Kent and on Buffalo tonight. Tomorrow, minimal stuff. You'll see more moves, I think, tomorrow on those games. Saturday, I don't know. The couple places that put up the numbers early, saw money come in on Iowa against Penn State. That was one of the games. The other one was on Indiana, 3-touchdown dog to Ohio State. Early money took the 21. It's knocking that number down to what everybody kind of posted. The other Big Ten game that I have circled, I'm a Big Ten guy, so I don't know. I know, again, you want actionable information. We got kind of a limited scope because college is those things we talked about last week. Like if Prez listened to the show, there's not a lot of action moving stuff to give you actionable information on Tuesday because COVID, everything else related, they're not making plays until closer to day of game. So Friday night, Saturday morning. But the other one was Michigan and Rutgers. You saw some early money came on Michigan, Teddy. I don't know. Between the two of us, we don't have a win for our colleges. Like I don't know what's going on in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But those are the games. The NFL, the look-ahead line, New England came to 3, 2.5 in places. It's already down to 2, coming down to 1.5 probably. That one was one that we got to keep our eye on. And the rest of the numbers are kind of painted. You're not seeing much action yet in the NFL, but I'm feeling there will be some moves, obviously, by Sunday.
Dave Sharapan, everybody. Breaking news.
Whoa.
Dave Sharapan will be doing Wager Talk today at 2 a.m. every Friday morning with all his actionable information.
Hosted
right,
by
Dave?
who?
2 a.m.? No, you're just going to do it by yourself. I'm going to be sleeping, dude.
I was going to say, if it's with you, I'm in. If I can do a show, me and you, I'm in. That's no. I'll get up anytime. I'll even meet you. You can do it from the treadmill or from the whatever that thing is that you do. You can put a camera right there.
I'm a Peloton boy, Dave. I got a
sorry.
question about this. I got a question about this New Orleans Saints game. It was around. Before we knew Breeze was fully out, it was 6, 5.5. It's now 4.5. Now that we know he's not playing, the difference between Breeze and Jameis is 1 point. That doesn't feel right to me. No, it makes no sense.
So, just let me jump in real quick because in my power ratings, I made the adjustment of 0 points.
Really?
0.
Why, Ted?
Yes.
So Dave. Hold up, Dave. Keep drinking out of that dollar store cup while Teddy speaks for a sec.
Please, go ahead.
Teddy, why? Why though? I'm curious. I mean,
Drew Brees is not a good. Okay, when you're ranking out the NFL quarterbacks this year, Drew Brees is going to rank out mediocre or worse. Okay, he is not an elite quarterback. He is an okay quarterback. Jameis Winston led the NFL in passing yards last year. Okay, he's got a much bigger arm than Drew Brees, much bigger, and all of a sudden. In theory, all of these Saints wide receivers who haven't done anything all year because Brees can't get them the ball now have a chance to stretch the field. That makes Alvin Kamara better, and that makes no difference for the Saints whether Brees or Winston is behind center. So, in my opinion, the Brees drop-off or the Winston's likely to throw more questionable passes than Brees, but he's also likely to take more downfield shots. So I think that evens out. And my power rating adjustment is none. Not even a half point.
You know what I tell my children when they say, in my opinion? I say, are you speaking on behalf of someone else's opinion? That is one of the most redundant comments ever. Dave, are you with Teddy on this with the Saints? Do you like them better with Jameis at -4.5 than with Breeze at -6?
Well, let me say this. In my opinion,
Interesting.
I had to do it, Prez. I had to do it. The kids always say stuff all the time. So there it is. No, this is the argument that goes on in the risk room. This is what you do when you are in a book and you make numbers. And
tell us about that.
You sit in there and you go, well, what is the adjustment for Breeze? Because now you know he's not playing. And one guy says, well, it's 4. And a guy, sitting on Teddy's side says, it's nothing. Well, tell me why. So I listen to Teddy's argument, and I'm with you. I'm on that side of it. I don't think Breeze has been good at all season. Obviously he has been hurt and playing hurt. So their inability to throw the deep ball has limited the offense. This actually opens up the offense. I like Teddy's discussion and argument.
Yep.
And I don't know. Yes, to the naked eye, you would think the drop off might be more, but really when you look at it and you're keeping numbers and power ratings and things like that, Jameis can move and Jameis can throw. 2 things that Breeze could not do either of. So I don't think the drop off is much, if anything at all. I said it was a point. I'm trading texts and phone calls with people yesterday. Like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, I like it. I like the Saints offense better, I think, with Jameis in there. So as long as he gets all the reps in practice and Peyton can put him in a position to succeed and he doesn't Jameis himself where, he throws those bad passes and turns the ball over 3 times, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But those are the types of discussions that go on, and they're subjective. They are people's opinions. And yes, it is a bit redundant, Prez, but a lot of times people lead their opinion with, in my opinion. The kids, I don't know if you pay attention, they text IMO all the time.
IMO.
IMO. That's what it stands for, Prez, just to keep up with the crowd. It's in my opinion, IMO.
We've got just a few minutes left here with Dave Sharapan, veteran bookmaker, someone who's been around the game probably as long as I have, more than 20 years, Dave, at SportsBKConsig on Twitter. And Dave, before we let you go, I wanted you to talk about a concept that you brought up, and you brought up very casually. You said these numbers are painted. And I don't know that much of our audience is going to be familiar or understand exactly what that concept means. Explain, what does it mean when a number is painted?
So it comes up, say like Arizona, Seattle Thursday night, which I'm sure you guys will get to later, and I'm sure that Ralph will have something to dazzle us with these numbers. But it comes up 3 and 57.5 was the opening number. Well, today's Tuesday, and it's still 3. It might be 3 minus 120, but it's still 3. So in the industry, like, it's just a term that I've heard probably almost 25 years ago, where the number gets painted and it doesn't change. So it's perma paint. It stays there, and it's still it means the number isn't moving, and it probably isn't going to move. When you say, oh, the number's been painted for 3 days, it's not going to move, or you don't even have to say all that. You want to talk about redundancy. Let's keep with the theme here, Prez. Saying it's painted number and it's not going to move is redundant. You just say it's a painted 3, and that gets you instant credibility with someone that's in the business going, oh, they know the number's been sitting there for 2 days and it hasn't moved. That's all that means.
Just like wearing your hat backwards, instant cred. He's Dave Sharapan every Tuesday on WagerTalk Today. And Dave, before we let you go, and I am excited to let you go, tell us, what do you got to promote?
Twitter handle at Sportsbook Consigliere. It's at SportsBKConsig, like Teddy said. The Cash Considerations podcast we do every week. It's on at GT Cash Consider. It's me, an oddsmaker or two, and usually a guest from out of town or Las Vegas.
There's a rumor. Every
rumor?
time you come on, the rumor is you're going to have an eye on. So you're just going to give that piece of junk out again? Because we haven't gotten a text or email. You've never even invited us once.
No. A lot of things have to happen. A lot of things are happening. Just like I'm waiting for Joe and I to talk and call and make some connections. I have to make some other connections. But in the meantime,
Joe,
listen to the
don't
show.
call Dave.
We're going to get together in person, Prez, until you can get out to Vegas. I think we're going to do a little night out with the boys and girls here at Wager Talk. That one's on the QT, though. We'll keep that one in our back pocket. Otherwise, happy birthday, Teddy. Prez, you look fantastic. Just keep it up, my God. And I'll listen to the rest of the show from here on out.
Dave, there's no man I'd rather spoon than you. Get out of here, baby. Thanks for coming on every Tuesday. Dave Sharapan on Wager Talk Today. Quick break, right back with more Teddy, Ralph Michaels, and a whole lot of information.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
It is time for Big Game Breakdown. And look, I'll be honest with you. I've been doing a ton of MACtion early in the week. I was sick of doing MACtion. And I talked about the one game yesterday that I was interested in. I had no interest in the other for tonight. So I thought we'd look ahead and do a little Thursday night football. Sometimes the marquee matchups on Big Game Breakdown are where we need to look instead of just something that's actionable for tonight, because I didn't have anything actionable tonight for you. So let's talk a little Seahawks and Cardinals. Right now, here in Las Vegas, we're looking at Seattle -3 with juice. -3, -120. Total, let's call it 57.5 across the board. And when you look, the first knee-jerk reaction, I always say, and this is myself included, for Thursday night football that we say is, oh, it's really tough for the road team. It's really tough for the road team. You got to travel. You got to get a game plan. And you have to do it in a very short period of time. Joe, throw that graphic up. Thursday Night NFL 2020. Because when you look at it, the conventional wisdom of, oh, it's really hard for the road team, turns out to not be working at all this year. In week 1, yeah, the Chiefs beat the Texans. All right. Week 2, Bengals come in the back door, cover against the Browns. Week 3, road team Dolphins blows out the Jaguars. Week 4, road team Broncos blows out the Jets. Week 5, the Bears won. That was a Tom Brady on a short week. And I'm sorry, the 40-year-old quarterbacks on short weeks, you can say asterisks. That's why the road team didn't win. No game week 6 on Thursday night. Week 7, the Giants cover wire-to-wire against Philly. Week 8 on the road, Giants on the road. Week 8, the Falcons wire-to-wire. The Panthers wire-to-wire over the Falcons wire-to-wire over the Panthers. Week 9, the Packers on the road, wire-to-wire over the 49ers. Week 10, the Colts on the road, wire-to-wire over the Titans. There's no home field edge this year. It's the road teams are winning and dominating these ball games consistently. The graphic shows it pretty clearly. So be careful when you're talking about some of these, and Ralph talks about it all the time. Oh, well, the trend is, the conventional wisdom is, et cetera, et cetera. The conventional wisdom says the road team struggled on Thursday night. The facts tell us something very different so far this season. And look, Russell Wilson off a loss has been great. 32-9 straight up off a loss in his career. Among active quarterbacks, only Tom Brady is better. Jamal Adams is the difference maker on that defense. He had a strip sack and a fumble recovery again. But this is a Seahawks team that is cluster injuries on the offensive line, cluster injuries in the secondary. You have major issues I'm not going to say running back because there are no major issues at running back, but in particular, Wilson was sacked, 6 times and threw 2 picks against last week. Those are big problems moving forward for a Seattle team that is headed in the wrong direction, 1-3 following their 5-0 start, is laying points with home teams not really doing all that well on Thursday Night Football, and playing an Arizona team. Sorry, Arizona has all kinds of confidence right now. And the focus, the thing that impressed me the most about the Cardinals, coming off of that crazy win over Buffalo, was immediately after the game, Kingsbury and the team was already focusing on Seattle. Like, hey, it'll come fast, Kingsbury, but our guys like playing when the spotlight is on us. And I'm excited about Thursday night. Me too. I think Arizona's live in this game, just like they were in the first meeting. I'm going to look at the Cardinals plus the points before I look at Seattle minus. There you have it. Big game breakdown, Thursday night NFL. Cheers. Back to you, Prez.
Great stuff, Teddy Covers. Awesome show. Guys, thank you all so much for being with us. 500 of you. Only 130 likes. We'll take it, but 5 people thumbs down. I don't know. I mean, seriously, like, can you imagine going to a restaurant and like eating dinner? Hey, waiter.
Yeah, they don't like your spooning comments, dude. It makes people uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. I'd spoon with you, Teddy.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah, baby. I am a manly man. I am an alpha male who is in touch with his inner something or other. Anyway, Teddy, I got to tell you something. Del Toro, one of our listeners, great guy, is in the chat room all the time. What's wrong, Teddy? I was actually going to give you a compliment.
But whenever you start with Teddy, I got to tell you something. It's going wrong.
No, dude. Teddy, he wanted to thank you for tweeting out your weather report. It made him a lot of money in the Pats game.
Cool. Awesome. I'm glad I could help.
Yeah, that's all. And then he said that he thinks I'm cooler than you, better than you, nicer than you. He didn't say any of those things.
You're all of those things, Brad. I am not cool. I am not nice. I don't know about better than, but those aren't my goals.
Listen, dude, you got killer hair, like flat out great hair. Anyway, Ralph Michaels joining us. Can't wait, dude. How was your trip, Ralph? What's going on, brother? We missed you, man.
Oh, it was awesome. Anytime you get to go home and see family and you went home and no one was sick or died, it's a great trip. So, hey, got to see my son. Very happy to do so. So, really, with COVID and football starting, it wasn't the best time. But you know what? If you're having an engagement party and it's your kid, you don't miss it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll tell you, totally off topic, just America is such a transient. Oh, shut up, Ralph. America is so transient. Kids live all over the place. So, yeah, I understand, man. I mean, it's just, I have 2 daughters, and I can't imagine them not living in the same city as me. It would just be heartbreaking. When I was 25, I moved. I packed all my bags, and I moved to Australia. Yeah, Ralph, you could stare at your wrist. I moved to Australia to live forever. That must have been so heartbreaking for my parents, but I did come back. Teddy, let's see that again, dude. Let's have a flex.
All right, here's the angle. Here's the angle of the day, Teddy. I missed your segment yesterday, so I don't know which game you broke down. But, folks, you have to remember, Bowling Green talked about doing it the right way, starting young, and it shows the last couple of years. They are now 4-20 against the spread when they're a dog of 7 or more, including 1-13 the last 14 games. So when you're a dog that many times of a touchdown or more, and you've gone 1-13 in that stretch, it's tough for me to ever jump on that team. It's usually a fade or not. And I have one more situation I want to bring about tonight's game, Teddy, and it is this. There have been 56 conference home dogs of 30 points or more since 2001. There were only 3 last year, and there's 3 this week. Bowling Green, Florida State, or Vanderbilt. So I go back to 2001. They've gone 43.6%. But since 2015, those 30-point conference home dogs have gone 8-5-1 against the spread, 61.5%. Wake Forest earlier this year. So, again, nothing to bet on when we're talking 30 points, but I certainly was interested to know the number and what they've done. So, again, not a bettable angle or stat, but something that just makes you aware of the surroundings and when we get to these very inflated high numbers.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say it's not bettable, but people bet the 30-point games just like they bet the 2-point games. As a handicapper, sometimes we have a difficult time with it, but it's not like these games don't take action. And boy, it's so funny. You say, well, there were 3 last year, and there are 3 this week, and the 3 this week. You say, all right, Bowling Green, yeah, that makes sense. Vanderbilt, yeah, that makes sense. Florida State as a 35-point home dog? Is that, I mean, to me, that's just one that I understand it's been a rough season for the Seminoles, and it's been a rough run. That one stands out to me, Ralph, as maybe you might want to be a little bit more actionable with that one, given your angles that point towards a Florida State team that isn't 35-point dogs at home very often.
Well, Teddy, you bring that up, and I do. One of my handicapping things I do is year in and year out and compare the lines, and I'm trying to look real quick. Last year, Clemson was minus 27.5 at home. So that means they would have been probably 21.5 on the road at Florida State. So I like comparing one year to the next where the line value went, and then you make the adjustment. Has this team really gotten that much better, or has the other team really gotten that much worse? And then see if there's value relative to that line and relative to what happened with that line.
Good stuff. Let's move on to the next one.
Okay, how about this, guys? NFL revenge situation. And I have 4 parameters, Teddy, but I'm going to think you're going to say no problem. They work great. Same season revenge.
Yep.
You lost the first as a home favorite. You have a win percentage over 60%. And you're either an away favorite or a dog up to 3.5. And then I knocked out game 16 because a lot of times you don't care about what happened. So with those parameters, Kansas City, they lost the first game as a home favorite. They have a win percentage over 60%. They're an away favorite or a small dog, and it's not week 16. Those teams since 2010 have gone 18-1, including 13 straight winners since 2015. It applies to Kansas City this week and Baltimore against Pittsburgh next week.
And when you say, does that system make sense, Ralph? Makes perfect sense. You're talking about a team that's the better of the 2 teams. They're a good team. They have a winning percentage of better than 600. The line is relatively short, so they're in a situation where a win likely equals a cover. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to look at the Chiefs in that spot this week. And, of course, you have Andy Reid coming off a bye as well. And then the Ravens against the Steelers next week. Both those make sense to me to certainly look at in that direction.
And for the Friends of Ralph segment, I went across the pond to our good friend Kevin Dolan. And this has some big odds, guys. But you know what? I wanted to play some big odds. We'll try it once. When you're betting soccer, you could bet on a team to win. You could bet on a team to lose. Or you can bet on a draw. This play is on a draw. It's Portugal against Croatia. Guess what, guys? It's on ESPN2 today. So if you want to watch some national soccer, a huge game, Friends of Kevin Dolan has a draw. You're getting plus 247. That is a kickoff of 2:45 p.m. Eastern, 11:45 p.m. a.m. Pacific. And again, that's on ESPN2. So a $100 bet on the draw will get you plus 247. Please note, if you're new to soccer, they play a first half of 45 minutes. They play a second half of 45 minutes. And then there's some stoppage time. They don't stop the clock. So don't think when it gets to 0, you win. They're going to show you plus 4 or 5 more minutes of stoppage time. After the stoppage time, if it's a draw, you then would cash that ticket.
Ralph Michaels, we missed you, man. So while you guys were talking and there was a shot of all 3 of us, I had a big smile on my face. I was laughing a little bit. Some of the people in the chat room. Teddy, there is a chat room. I don't know if you know. And I interact with the guests while doing the show. Kind of impressive. But
wait, there's a chat room? I thought there was a posting forum.
Oh, it's not a posting forum, you schmo. Anyway,
I'm well aware. You spent the first 2 months of the show calling it the posting forum every day.
Mute Teddy. They wanted to know why I was smiling and laughing. The reason is simple, Teddy. I'm going to move my mic. I am now going to do a demonstration of Teddy flexing his bicep.
All right, I have a question, Prez.
I mean, who does it with their arm forward?
Prez, I got a question. When you say they all, That meant one person, right? One person said something to you. And as long as it's something positive towards Prez, everyone in the chat room is raving about this.
That
one guy tweeted one moment.
That wasn't positive towards Prez, but I've never seen a person flex their bicep elbow forward before.
I was looking at my watch because you were wasting our time, not flexing.
Yeah, and I was trying to get it in the If you look at my camera shot in the middle, it's tight. So I was trying to get it in. That was the whole concept. That's why the arm went forward.
Oh, look, Teddy,
end the show, please. It's time.
Teddy, flex alert. Flex alert. Guys, thank you all so much for joining us. Ralph, man, I missed you, brother. I can't wait till tomorrow. NFL Presidential Address, 4 p.m. Eastern. Also, guys, MMA tomorrow. Kyle Anthony is joining us. And Teddy, I got to go eat, baby. Take us home.
You got to go eat, baby?
Oh, shut up, man.
Yeah, don't eat babies, please. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the games. Good luck tonight. We'll be back again in 23 hours right here on WagerTalk Today.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.